The second that the bag was pulled over his head, the only thing he could smell was burlap and stale air. And he had just one thought. It was all a lie. The woman he'd sent his entire life savings to, the woman he thought he loved, had just had him kidnapped. This entire nightmare, a trap built just for him, all started so innocently, with just a simple message online. His name is Mark. 2 years ago, he thought his life was pretty decent. He's an American expat, an engineer working over in Sydney, Australia. The job paid well, but he was deeply, profoundly lonely. Sydney is a beautiful city, but it just wasn't home. His friends were really just work colleagues, and his family was an ocean away. Most nights, he'd just come home to an empty apartment with an amazing view of a city he felt completely disconnected from. And that kind of loneliness, it's a vulnerability. It's a quiet ache that has you searching for a connection. Any connection at all, just to make the world feel a little smaller. So, like millions of other people, Mark turned to the internet. He downloaded a dating app, swiped through profiles with kind of detached hope, and then he saw her. Her name was Isabella. Her profile said she was a 32-year-old nurse from the Philippines. She had this warm smile that just seemed to light up her eyes. She looked kind. So they matched. Her first message was simple, but it was the start of everything. For the first time in years, Mark actually felt a spark of excitement. They talked for hours that first night, and then pretty much every single day after. She was the first person he thought of in the morning, and the last person he spoke to at night. She was funny, smart, and just so empathetic. She listened to him complain about his job, asked about his family back in the States. She made him feel seen. She was his lifeline in a sea of isolation. Their relationship just exploded over the next 6 months. It was a complete whirlwind of messages, photos, and late-night video calls. They started sharing their dreams. He told her about his plan to retire early, maybe buy a little boat and sail around the Greek islands. She told him about her dream of opening a small clinic in her hometown for families who couldn't afford medical care. She'd talk about her family, how hard she worked as a nurse, and how all she wanted was a stable, loving partner. It all felt so real. He fell for her hard. The distance didn't even seem to matter. If anything, it made the connection feel more intense, more focused. Every time his phone pinged, he'd get this jolt of adrenaline. He was completely in love with a woman he had never even met. His family and the few friends he had, they were skeptical. "You've never met her, Mark." They'd say, "How do you know she is who she says she is?" He just brushed it off. They didn't get it. They couldn't see the daily good morning texts, the pictures she sent from her hospital, or the way she remembered every little detail about his life. To him, she was more real than the people he saw every day. She never asked for money outright. Not at first. It was way more subtle than that. She'd mention a tough month, or a surprise bill for a family member's medical problem, and he'd just offer. It started small. A few $100s here, 1,000 there. It felt good to help, to be her provider, to take some of the weight off her shoulders. And every time, she'd be so incredibly grateful, telling him he was her hero, her savior. It was intoxicating. About 8 months into this, Isabella brought up something new. She told him her uncle, supposedly some financial whiz in Hong Kong, had let her in on a secret. He was investing in a new, private crypto market and making absolutely insane returns. She said he'd taught her how to do it, and she was already seeing huge profits. "Mark, this could be our future," she told him on a video call, her eyes wide with excitement. "This is how you retire early. This is how we build our life together, faster than we ever imagined." She even showed him her account on a sleek, professional-looking trading website. The numbers were staggering. She'd apparently turned a few $1,000s into tens of thousands in just a few weeks. He was hesitant at first, but she was so persuasive. She framed it as an act of love, a way for them to lock in their future together. She wasn't asking for his money. She was offering him an opportunity. So he started small. He wired $10,000 to the platform. In a week, his account showed a balance of $15,000. It was incredible. Isabella coached him through every single step, telling him when to buy and when to sell. His confidence soared with every fake profit. He put in another $50,000. It doubled in a month. He felt like a genius. Every doubt he had just evaporated, replaced by this euphoric vision of the future she was painting for him. This is the hardest part of the story to understand. This is where logic just completely left the building. Isabella convinced Mark this was a once-in-a-lifetime shot, a tiny window before the so-called market went public. "We have to go all in," she kept saying. "This is our one chance." That powerful cocktail of the trust she'd built for nearly a year, combined with the illusion of these massive profits, it just short-circuited every rational thought in his head. So he did it. He sold his stocks. He emptied his 401k. He liquidated his entire life savings. Every penny he had worked 25 years to build, one wire transfer after another. He sent it all to offshore accounts tied to the trading platform. He watched his balance on that screen climb past 1 million, then 2, then 3. On paper, he was richer than he had ever been. The final total he sent was just over $3.2 million. He gave her everything. He bet his entire life on a digital dream. With his life savings supposedly tripled on this platform, Isabella said it was finally time. "Let's be together," she said. "Come to Manila. We can celebrate and plan our new life." The thought of finally holding her in his arms, of making their online love real, was just overwhelming. Mark booked the first flight he could find. She said she'd meet him at the airport. They planned it all out. A fancy hotel, dinners at the best restaurants, a trip to the beach. He was walking on air. The whole flight from Sydney to Manila, he couldn't stop smiling. He just kept picturing her face. Imagine what their first kiss would be like. Their first conversation without a screen between them. He even had a ring in his pocket. He was going to propose. He was flying straight toward his dream, with no idea he was actually flying into a nightmare they had built just for him. Mark stepped out of the airport into the warm, humid Manila air, searching the crowd for Isabella's face. Then his phone buzzed. It was a message from her. "So, sorry, my love. Emergency at the hospital. I sent a car for you. The driver's name is Rico. He will take you to the hotel. I will meet you there. I can't wait to see you." A man holding a sign with Mark's name on it walked up. "Rico." He was polite. He took the bags, and he led Mark to a black van. He got in without a single hesitation. The first 20 minutes of the drive felt normal, just weaving through the city's chaotic traffic. But then they turned off the main road, and then another turn into a rougher, more industrial part of the city. A tiny flicker of unease went through him. "Is this a shortcut?" he asked. Rico just smiled in the rearview mirror and didn't say a word. The van pulled into a walled compound, and heavy metal gates slammed shut behind them. Mark's heart started pounding. This was not a hotel. Before he could even figure out what was happening, the back doors of the van flew open. Two men grabbed him and dragged him out. He tried to fight back, but it was useless. They threw him on the ground, and then that rough, smelly burlap bag was pulled over his head. The world went black. He was dragged into a building, down some stairs, and thrown onto a concrete floor. For 3 days, he was held captive in a dark, damp room. His captors barely spoke. They took his wallet, his passport, his phone. They demanded the login to his crypto account, the one Isabella had helped him set up. Of course, when they logged in, the $3.2 million and all those supposed profits was already gone. It had been cleaned out the day he got on his flight. On the third day, in the middle of the night, they dragged him out, drove him to the edge of the city, and threw him out of the moving van. He hit the asphalt hard. He was a bloody mess on the side of the road with a broken arm, and lying there in agony. The full, horrifying truth just crashed down on him. There was no Isabella. There was no love. There was no investment. It was all a lie. After locals found him and he got medical help, Mark started working with the authorities. The investigation uncovered a truth that was so much more complex and sinister than he ever could have imagined. He was a victim of a pig butchering scam. The name comes from the practice of fattening up a pig with a long-term, sophisticated relationship before you slaughter it financially. Mark was a pig. These aren't just one or two people. These are massive, industrial-scale criminal operations. often run by syndicates out of fortified compounds in Southeast Asian countries like Myanmar and Cambodia. The person Mark knew as Isabella likely wasn't even one person. It was probably a whole team using a script, working in a scam factory with thousands of devices. And the darkest part? Many of them are victims themselves. Survivors of human trafficking, lured by fake job ads and then forced to work as scammers under the threat of torture, violence, and even death. The United Nations has reported that hundreds of thousands of people are trapped in these scam compounds, forced into what is basically modern-day slavery. They endure inhumane treatment, including beatings and electrocutions, all while being forced to carry out these crimes. This global criminal enterprise generates billions upon billions of dollars every year. Mark's $3.2 million was laundered through a dizzying web of crypto wallets and shell companies, vanishing in minutes. His dream of finding love ended up making him an unwitting financier for a global organized crime and human trafficking network. Mark's story is a devastating warning about the dangers of looking for connection in the digital world. He lost everything, his money, his ability to trust, and a part of who he was. These scammers are absolute masters of psychological manipulation. They don't just prey on greed. They prey on loneliness, on kindness, and on that universal human need for love. So, how can you protect yourself? You have to be skeptical of online relationships that move too fast or seem too perfect. Never, ever send money to someone you haven't met in person. I don't care how convincing their story is. And be incredibly wary of any guaranteed or secret investment opportunity, especially in crypto. Do reverse image searches on their profile pictures. Be suspicious that they always have an excuse to avoid a live video call or meeting in person. Mark's life is never going to be the same, but if his story stops even one person from going through what he went through, then it's worth it. The people who run these operations, they operate in the shadows. They count on their victims being too ashamed to speak up. We have to drag them into the light. If this story was insightful, please subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden dangers of our world. And please share this video. You never know who in your life might need to hear this. Spreading the word is our best defense.